enjoy waking up in a ditch and riding until sundown. The plan was to fly into Osaka, build the bikes up and ride to Kyoto.
My name's Will Mayer. I am one half of Brother Cycles, the other half being my brother James, so we are actually brothers. And we've been running Brother Cycles for 13 years now.
Yay, Skywater!
We went out and it was like this. It was worse than this actually.
There was a boat where there was like 6 of them.
Morning.
He had like 2 days there and it did get wet on like my first proper ride with it, and I was just like, oh, I just spent so much money because everyone said that this was the one.
I think used to shake dries, yeah, you can use it on the roof, but you can't really use it off road.
Is that the one
It's for there now.
Black. So it was almost like, it got a bit weird. I'm a curator that
What's the plan today? Ride bikes in the rain. Lots of rain.
I'm currently out with Restrap in Lancashire for Brothers in the Wild. We're getting absolutely filthy and it's definitely going to be a wet one.
What is Brother in the Wild? Hold on, this is actually quite a good question.
Wait, what's brother?
What's Brother in the Wild? Yeah, well, Brother in the Wild is our attempt at creating an event which sums up the kind of cycling that we as a brand are into. And maybe it was an event that we didn't feel was readily available in the UK. So it's a totally non-competitive, community-led bikepacking gravel weekender. So with a focus obviously on riding, showing our customers but also kind of friends and industry friends interesting places to ride, but also with a big focus on time off the bike. So good food, good drink, film screenings, fireside talks, and yeah, there are people who've been coming to Brother in the Wild for 7 years, and it's a place where they come and know that they can meet up with like-minded people in the bike industry and not really feel any pressure to do anything beyond riding their bike and hang out.
The other one's just a monument for like the Second World War. Great place for a lighthouse, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a bit, isn't it? It's just like the wind and the rain hammering you in the face.
You having fun?
Yeah, it's alright actually. Your camera's wet.
Yeah, I know, it's struggling to focus.
Nice and warm up here, don't worry about it.
Oh, lovely! Thanks for the invite, guys.
Someone going to slide the banister.
Classic.
Yeah, I was so glad I came up to it. We've made it to the north. It's really worth the drive.
Makes you feel alive.
Listen, dry my face.
This is the first one in the north, and everyone in the north said get ready for the weather, and it's now rained for 24 hours non-stop and it's going to rain for another 24 hours non-stop, but everyone's still having a good time. what inspired me to make a bike? Well, we didn't start off wanting to make a bike brand.
So like aiming?
No, well, my brother and I were buying, for fun, buying vintage bikes and restoring them just for a laugh. And we were converting them to fixed gear bikes because fixed gear was the thing at the time. And then our friends started coming around for dinner, or we'd have little house parties, and then someone would always end up buying. We'd have like a bike leaning against a wall, and someone would be like, "Oh, we like that bike," and then they'd buy it. And then we'd be like, "Oh, let's build another one." And then we made a website to document all the bikes that we were converting. And what was the name of our? We had a ridiculous name. I actually can't remember the name of the business back then. But anyway, we would. That like grew and grew and grew, and then we were building bikes for friends of friends, and friends of friends were asking us to do bikes. And then my brother went on a frame building course just for fun, because he's very technical and enjoys knowing how things are put together. And we just kind of had an idea in a pub one night. We're like, oh, we should create our own. Steel vintage frames were becoming really expensive at the time, so you couldn't buy them on eBay anymore. So we just designed our own one. And then we found a factory that would make it. And it was just like little baby steps, and then it just got to the point where the factory were like, you have to pay a deposit if you want them. And we were like, oh, should we do it? And we did it, and they sold really quickly, and it just kind of, we never set out to make a bicycle company, we just were enjoying making things and people buying them. And
That's probably why it worked, because you didn't set out to do it.
Yeah, probably. And I was saying to Nathan from Restrap earlier, like, the fixed gear world was like a secret back door into the bike industry, because I think if you just try and start a bike brand, it's impossible and super expensive and logistically very hard. But through fixed gear, small batch kind of stuff, selling it through forums and sponsoring alley cats and sponsoring crazy like courier races in London and the you know, London fixed gear scene, like it just kind of just happened without us really wanting it to. Well, not wanting it to, but like meaning it to.
We've sacked off the big ride. We went from the feed stop to the pub, and now we're riding 24k back on the road back to the campsite, and then some bike talks tonight. But yeah, wet day out on the bike.
When I was young, my daddy said, gotta keep one eye open in your bed, 'cause there's a time coming when the devil gonna come for you. So my trigger finger, stay prepared. I've got my weapon and I got my prayers, 'cause if you don't run this town, they'll walk all over you. Run out loud, gotta run on. Keep on running till the sun goes down. Run out loud, better run on. Run all day till you can't be found. Run out loud, gotta run on. Keep on running till the sun goes down. You can outrun the devil, but you ain't gonna outrun me. You ain't gonna outrun me. You ain't gonna, yeah. You ain't gonna outrun me, yeah. When I was younger, my mama said, gotta make your green and you'll be seeing red. 'Cause if you ain't got none, well, nobody gon' come for you.
Like he's riding, as you say, Rob, he's at the riding so many kilometres up this line. You can see the way the guys are looking at each other. If he had, you know, just waited behind and trying to attack in that final kilometre, 1500 metres.
What was another one that was like that?
Great West is more Brad Phillips vintage. They're only this You just make it look easy.
Just like, it's such a different thing.
Oh, shut up.
See, I couldn't even do that on a normal one.
Thank you everyone for coming to the very first Brother in the Wild North. Shona Oldfield is one half of the Keep Pedaling bike shop in Manchester. That's just a wear appetites.
I mean, I thought you would ask me to describe what I was trying to do or something, but okay.
I think I was actually meant to ask you that first, but obviously...
Just as well, you told me the questions before, so I knew what you were meant to ask. When I was 18 years old, I was meant to do this 400-kilometer ride, which turned into a bike ride across the UK. It wasn't what I was planning to do, it turned into like this 1,000-mile thing. I got really lonely when I was on this trip, and I was reading this book called This Road I Ride by Juliana Buring. She was the first woman to set the record to circumnavigate the globe on bicycle. And I don't know, by the time I got to John O'Groats, I sort of thought to myself, you know what, I think I can do that. Anyway, I called my dad and I was very confidently told him, Dad, I want to ride my bike around the world. I got chased by a bear. Yeah, really big, brown/grizzly, whatever. Like, I was in a rush. I don't know what bear it was. It was brown.
Well, I'd argue against that, as Alice just took first place in the women's category of this year's Highland Trail 550 race, which is an incredible achievement. Hold on, get my notes up. She's also a Restrap ambassador and works with the Adventure Syndicate. So I'm no ultra cycling expert, but I've definitely heard of the Highland Trail 550. It's a very famous race because it's so hard. But for everyone here who doesn't know much about it, do you want to just give us a quick rundown of what the HT 550 is?
I will. I just want to say, I wish I'd gone sooner. Following Shona and Vendanki, I'm just like, oh my god, what am I going to pull out here?
I don't think you've got anything to worry about. It's very impressive.
So the Highland Trail 550 is a 550-mile odyssey in the Scottish Highlands. There's one school of thought that says that if you make it round, you will be changed. And there's another school of thought which is like, anyone can make it round, you just have to kind of be prepared for what it takes, because it does kind of take it out of you. And I think it does lull you into a false sense of security. The first, I don't know how long it is, 400 kilometres. You go straight up the spine of the Highlands, and it's all kind of double track and it's all rideable, and you think that maybe a gravel bike would be an appropriate choice of bike. Wouldn't they, Carl? Carl and Jade are the only people who've completed it on a gravel bike, and no one thought that was possible, humanly possible. Carl did then complete it twice as fast on a mountain bike, so I would say that it's very much a mountain bike race. And as soon as you get to the northernmost point of Scotland, you then descend on a kind of sheer bog into the abyss, and that's apparently when the race starts. So it's pretty like straightforward all the way up, and then things start getting a little bit fruity. Yeah, there's another, what's that, another 480 kilometres down the northwest coast, and it's a mixture of riding and walking and pushing. It's absolutely stunning, and if you're patient enough and you're motivated enough, then you'll definitely get through it. And I wasn't sure that I was the sort of person that would have a kind of like epiphanic, life-changing experience on it, because I thought I held on to things too tightly and I'd be too anxious and I'd be in a pit of suffering the whole way around, and if I made it round then that would be enough. But yeah, I ended up having an absolutely amazing experience, and well, I don't know if I'm changed, but that's what the Highland Trail is anyway. We've been well coached by Lee about stop time and how like the most important thing is how long you stop. So we were being really, both of us, I'm talking for Phil now, you're not allowed to stop in a pub or a restaurant. You're only allowed to stop in petrol stations is kind of like the rule, because you can't really enjoy yourself in a petrol station.
Well.
So our stop time is at a total minimum. But I just couldn't shed this. Does anyone even know who Janie Wilson is? She is just like, so she beat me in GB Duro 2 years previously by like almost 24 hours. She's so fast, and not only she's fast, she is like, she's hungry for it. She wants people's blood. Like, she is out for it. I really struggled to ride with her on GB Duro, so I was like, wow, like, you have to, please go. I can't deal with this, like, energy. And I just felt her somewhere behind me. I didn't mind if Phil beat me, because we would have celebrated each other's wins. But I was having such a good ride, and I just really wanted to beat Jamie. And she knows this now. It's quite funny. And that, and the idea that I might win something, and I've not won a race before. I've never felt more motivated for anything ever. And it just felt easy. It just started to feel like it's all I wanted to do was like keep making motion.
Like if you went back to do the Highland Trail again, would you be thinking, I've got this, or would you be like, oh my god, this is going to be an ordeal? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think I've got an unrealistic idea of how hard the Highland Trail can be. Our conditions are amazing, and like the trails haven't been that dry since the year that we broke the record. We rode through Fisherfield, which is the infamous river crossing where it's like it might be up to your chin, and if you're short you might drown. And we just rode through it. It was utterly ridiculous how dry the trails were. So it was fast. It was much more rideable than it would have been even last year, which apparently, even though it wasn't wet, it was apparently the wettest underfoot than it had ever been. So I think in a bad way, if I was to do the Highland Trail again, which I might, because there is this whole like sub 4-day thing, and I'm not that far off it, so I'm thinking, well, I could probably save 4 hours somewhere. I'd be in for a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
But I did do the Lakeland 200. I didn't actually do it, I started it. And that was maybe speaking to your question as it was intended. I set off thinking, oh, how hard can it be? And I just thought it was really fucking hard. Like, so fucking hard.
Wow.
Did you No. I got halfway through, and then I stopped for a pizza in Keswick.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get into the youth hostel in Keswick, and they wouldn't let me in, and I just sat outside, miserable, and then I started riding just back to Kendal on the road, and then I got a lift. And I slept in the back of my Yaris.
That's a very small car.
It was tragic. Yeah. It was all just absolutely tragic. And that's, so Alan Goldsmith, who makes the Highland Trail route, also made the Lakeland 200 route as a, if you want to do the Highland Trail, then do this first. And if you hate the Lakeland 200, don't worry. It might not be so bad on the Highland Trail.
Oh, so the Lakeland 200 is
well, I don't know.
more difficult.
It's probably, I don't know, maybe it's the same. I don't really like riding my bike in England anymore. There's lots of gates and trees and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very beautiful. But I think what I've recently learned is that I really thrive on a mass start. And even the focusing nature of, it's so arbitrary, but if you think there's somewhere you have to be,
then it's amazing how your mind just makes your body fall into line and get it done. And the Lakeland 200, it was not a mass start, it was a individual thing, and I just couldn't make myself believe that it was important.
Yeah. Well, there's no one else watching you do it.
There was. There's a film made about it. There's a film made about it. I filmed myself
on the Lakeland 200.
Scratching from the Lakeland 200. Yes.
Probably makes a more interesting film than
That's
just doing
what I
it and being
thought.
like, yeah, I'm pretty happy, look at me.